We're at a time where we're seeing celebrity and fame shift right before our eyes. And to that extent, we're going to be looking at Alysa Liu and Doechii today. So lock in because it could be you next. And if you're new here, my name is Tianee.
I'm Taylor, and this is Inner Orbit. Every week we go into all things astrology, energy, and manifestation. And today we're looking into our new role models for manifestation in this modern age of Aquarius. Why Alysa Liu and Doechii? Doechii is now a Grammy Award-winning rapper. She was the third female rapper to win in that category, but it was not overnight. In fact, she documented her entire pre-fame journey starting as a teenager in Tampa, Florida, posting videos of herself so raw and authentic on YouTube, documenting every high and low of her journey, getting rejection after rejection, eventually using her, I think, last unemployment check on a music video that ended up going viral on TikTok and changing the trajectory of the rest of her career. And again, now she's winning Grammys, she's getting accolades left and right, but it came after being super, super authentic with the world and not budging on that authenticity, even when she was getting rejections left and right. She refused to not be herself. She refused to give up on her dreams. And she's honest about it, which I think is really intriguing to people in this world where we were used to such manicured celebrity. I think the fascinating thing is how we found these parallels between Doechii's success and how the world was really hungry and excited for that authenticity. And Alysa Liu, who won, I want to say double gold medal in the recent 2026 Milan Olympics for figure skating. These are two very different women. Their personalities are different. Their domains are different. And yet there's this authenticity in how they approach their love, their passions, their desires that the world was hungry for. So Alysa Liu recently won these gold medals. She exploded in the news because of her story, almost more so than the gold. She became a championship skater at, I want to say 13 years old. So really early fame, a little bit different than Doechii in the sense that she actually got accolades very early on. She got recognition super, super early in her journey. But she wasn't being her authentic self in the sense that she felt very controlled. Figure skating historically has a very specific look. You have to look a certain way, dress a certain way, present a certain type of femininity. Other people are telling her what to wear. Other people are picking her programs for her. They're kind of reducing any element of creativity that could be fun for someone like her. But she ends up taking a break, which is also unheard of in like Olympic sports. They're like, you're a failure, you're a quitter, like, good luck, see you never. That's the vibe in that type of energy. And she comes back a couple years later on her own terms because she has allowed herself to rediscover what she loves and realize she loves creating choreography. She loves fashion. She loves expressing herself and started to apply that to figure skating. Came back, people were like, I don't think you should come back. I don't think that's a good look. But there was a lot of resistance to it. And again, ends up winning championships and the double gold without even going after that as the outcome. She actually wanted to experience the sport from this new version of her that loved the creativity of it. And it showed. And the world ate it up.
Yeah. I'd never seen my timeline the way it was. Like back with people actually admiring the art and the skill of figure skating. And not just Alysa Liu. Like I don't want to say she put it back on the map or anything like that. But I do think she was significant to that because of her values.
Yes.
And like you just pointed out, the story, not so much the athleticism, was the interest with Alysa here. It is two different parallels where you have Doechii, an artist who is very self-involved in her journey, almost to the point of like, in some manifestation techniques, they would say gripping a little bit, right? Like immediately, I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I love that the choice was already made. And it was almost like she constructed her own world.
Yes.
And was like, I'm waiting for everyone else to catch up because I already know what's a fact with me.
Yes.
The immense amount of faith to spend your last unemployment check. Like, that's that Hail Mary energy.
Yes.
And that is just so Saturnian to me. And it's interesting because when we get into her chart, you're going to be a little surprised. And so it's that very much like, how much faith do you have in yourself? And that's what that looks like to me.
Absolutely. And what's so beautiful is post-fame, right? She has left this all up. You can go mirror your own journey through Doechii's, which honestly, I'm so inspired. Prepping for this episode, I'm like, she's my role model. I just want to watch her videos every single day because you can watch these videos and relate to her feelings of the moments of the crickets where you're getting nothing. And no, she felt this way. Not even just for one night, 1 week, 1 month, for years, and kept committing to herself and her authenticity. She says in many videos, like I feel like God, it has a blindfold on me and I'm being driven around in a cab and I don't know where I'm going, but I'm supposed to trust. And she's honest some weeks that she's angry that the things aren't coming in. She's sad that the things aren't coming in, but nothing is going to stop her from being herself, no matter what. It was interesting the more that I've reflected on her own journey. We've talked in other episodes about actually Leo energy, which we'll get into her whole chart, but she is a Leo sun. There's a performer there, but there's also layers of ego and mask. So even when you think you're being authentic, you learn who you are throughout the years. You peel back layer by layer. And she really hits a turn in her trajectory when she does The Artist's Way. So The Artist's Way is a book by Julia Cameron. It's a 12-week creative recovery program. It's trending actually because of Doechii's success. It's very popular. It kind of mirrors almost like a sobriety recovery, and Doechii is actually sober now as well. A week-over-week program that is pretty in-depth. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of commitment if you're really doing the program. And she documented that entire journey, right? Week over week, you can see what she did. She was forced to be even more authentic. Like she thought she was authentic, but this peeled back even more layers. And she really credited this with now I'm even more myself than ever before. And it was 5 months after finishing that program that TikTok video went viral. I even thought of, Doechii reminds me of Tianee a lot, actually. Watching her videos, you have similar mannerisms. You have similar conviction in yourself. Something Tianee does that I love is sometimes like a little bit of a conversation with yourself. You're like, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm not going to say that. That's not a good opinion. Actually, you know what? It is. I'm going to say it. And in Doechii's video, she's doing exactly that. And her real name's Jayla. So she's like, Jayla, we're not doing that anymore. Okay. Anyways, yeah. No, actually, we're not sharing that. Like a lot of that. But she doesn't edit that video.
Share that.
Yeah. Yeah. She is putting her whole thought process online. And again, I think we're so lucky to benefit from seeing what that unfiltered thought process looks like. There's no editing in this. There is no let me delete that. That might be embarrassing. Nope. And the other thing that reminded me of you is Tianee is a published poet. And we talked about the timeline in an in-depth interview you can find. We will link that. You talked about a moment where you were finally willing to be authentic of the rawness of the journey you were going through. You kind of reached this moment where you're like, I'm not going to manicure this. I'm not going to put a veneer on this. I'm going to lead with the actual anger I feel right now. And I want to say it was 5 months after that you were also able to submit that for success. There was just these 4 to 5 to 6 month increments.
Yeah.
When you hear all these stories of people making these decisions to bet on themselves, you can quantum leap, but in the moment, 5 months might feel like an eternity. But when we're telling these success stories, they're 5 months is nothing. Only 5 months later, you saw viral success, right? I actually am going to be doing The Artist's Way now, coming out of this. I think Captain Chloe might be doing it with me, our producer. She hasn't fully committed, so she's just laughing in the background. But I am committed, so you guys can hold me accountable on that. But directly inspired by Doechii, directly inspired by her. And the fact that every week I can check in with her and, commiserate throughout all the steps makes me so excited. You don't feel alone. So I do want to thank you, Doechii, for that. I'm so interested if anyone else is also inspired to do that. And you don't even have to do this to be inspired by her authenticity.
It's so vulnerable and intimate to post your creative process online. You can attribute that, to reading The Artist's Way for her as well. It seems like you were saying, that was that tipping point. But what's so important about this journey is it doesn't mean that throughout the almost decade before she wasn't being authentic. It's almost like that book was a nugget from what she was already doing as well. And so it's just it speaks back to that manifestation journey that we've talked about before, where it's about the journey to get to what it is you're desiring and wanting, but not the desire itself, because you have to become the person.
Yes.
And because she was so convicted, like the journey took the amount of time that it did because the container that she could hold for it needed space to be held. Because if it was something that happened like overnight or something that happened too early, the container, like she wouldn't have had. But Doechii knew she was so larger than life that she needed that time to refine.
Yeah.
And so if you're also in a process where you can be frustrated with your own creative process and where's my validation, where's my recognition, I think one of the positive takeaways is like, oh, well, my come up must be so large that it needs this amount of time, because when it happens, it's going to be one after the other, after the other, after the other. Yeah. And I just need to be ready to jump right into my new life. Yeah. Like, I think that, and that's what that looks like.
That is so spot on, to the point where even, because you have to share your shadows, your creative shadows during the Artist Way program, and she's sharing them in her YouTube series. And early on, one of the creative blocks she mentioned is like one of her fears was being a one-hit wonder, right?
Oh, wow.
And if she didn't have the path to work through that shadow before, maybe that could have manifested, right? Because she didn't, if she hadn't worked through the container to hold, oh, this isn't temporary, this is long lasting.
Yeah.
Maybe it could have manifested that it was just a one-hit wonder, that was a one TikTok viral hit. She faced that fear head on. She shared it with the world. And Doechii's no one-hit wonder. Like,
not at all.
It's already
not at all. To be a Grammy-winning artist that quickly as well, like that's where even the manifestation itself could be so instant.
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. You are exactly who you need to be right where you are. And I am a testimony.
Trust looks so different amongst both people.
Yes.
Right? It's almost like trust is like a fuel and a fire for Doechii, but then for Alysa, trust is just the container for her to feel safe to continue to dive back into herself.
What motivates me? I mean, I don't really need motivation. I just kind of do what I do. I connect with everything, but I'm not attached to anything. So it's really easy.
To make a decision that young and that wise to say this is not fun for me, it makes me also think about the type of people that she had around her that allowed her to have the amount of space to do that too, that did imprint that. So it's one of those where I think a lot of this came to self-concept as well.
That makes sense. Tell me more about that.
Yes. So when we use the word such as self-esteem or self-concept or anything, it's the beliefs on how you think the world will respond to you and treat you based upon how you actually really feel about yourself. And so when you bring in the Artist Way with like Doechii, it is investigating like what are those fears that you have unbeknownst to you. It's one thing to be like, oh, I'm afraid of like spiders or something, but it's like it's deeper. You're going into the deep binding core issues. There was that fear of that one hit wonder there. There was self-concept to work through and to think through. Like, yes, you knew you were going to be a star, but there's also these shadow aspects and qualities. For Alysa, when you talk about getting those accolades very, very early on, Doechii didn't have that. Doechii had crickets. Doechii had to really solidify self-concept within herself. With Alysa, she's heavy Virgo in her chart, Virgo Mars. There is this precision. There is this perfection, especially in a sport like figure skating. And so there's this strong belief in, I know that I'm a champion. I already know that I'm good enough with this sport that I don't need this to validate me. I just want to be happy. And so where for Doechii, it could be, I want to be successful because I'm happy. But where with Alysa Liu, it's like, the only thing that makes me successful is my happiness. And so they're running the same stories, but the paths look so different. And it is because those self-concepts were solidified at different points in time. That's what I think.
I think you're so spot on, which our favorite terms gives the audience, yourselves, permission. If you resonate more with one or the other for whatever has happened in your own life, there is no right or wrong. But whatever your path is to solidifying your own self-concept is what matters, what resonates with you, and getting clear on what actually drives you. They are both at least passionate the whole time. They were very clear on what their passions were. And then when they weren't clear on it, they did something about it, right? Alyssa's like, there was a moment where she probably conflated, do I just not like skating? But taking that break was allowing her to figure out, what do I even love? And she said she like hung out with friends and went to school and like just did normal played video games to figure out, oh, okay, this is what I like. And then when she gave herself space, she's like, I want to skate. I actually do like working hard to skate. I just don't like the control. I want to express myself creatively. I don't want to be running someone else's program. And then Doechii always knew that she was meant to be some type of a star. And right now it's music, but she also was honest as well. I liked this story because I actually have a quitting story where a teacher really shamed me for quitting. And Doechii was like, talked about how she did everything, like every sport, every hobby growing up. And she would do it and be ready to move on and quit. And she would be shamed by that coach, mentor, whoever, like, you're a quitter, you're never going to be successful. But she's like, no, I'm ready for my next expression. That's not my forever expression. But, you know, there's this old paradigm of you got to stick to the one thing forever. And if you don't, you're a failure. And That's old programming that can be true if that's what you want. But if you are someone who wants to be super multifaceted, why not try out different mediums and then stick with the thing that actually drives you? I love that she was honest about that quitting, because like, she's not a quitter.
No,
you know?
not at all.
She's never quit on herself.
So much endurance.
Yes.
So much endurance.
So much. But she's given herself the space to explore other things. And even I think will give her space in the future of her career. I'm sure we'll see that. She said one of her goals is to be the lead character in a horror film. I hope that manifestation comes true, because I would love to watch that. I love the astrology of this as well, right? You're talking about their Leo. We're going to get more into their charts because they are so illuminating. But the age of Aquarius, like, is this not so Aquarian?
Yeah, like writing on the wall. And there's a lot of Pluto things going on too, like where we see power and but in this age of Aquarius, it really is taking who's influencing you, what thought ideas are coming down into the public. Yeah. And we are seeing that it's shifting into a place of authenticity. It's taking into a place of uniqueness. Yeah. Because again, the sign of Aquarius is about community building and is about forward movement and is also justice oriented as well. And so with this age of Aquarius, we see this energetic shift into people who are just not looking for fame to define them, where it's just a natural byproduct. Seeing the shift in what celebrity and success looks like is also a great mirror for what's happening in people's homes. It's like what is happening collectively. When we think about like what a celebrity even is, it is a shadow, not a shadow. A lot of times it could be a shadow, but it is a projection of what the mass wants to see. Absolutely. And so we are seeing that reflected back on the people that we are paying attention to. And these are the people that we're paying attention to now. Again, it's not like they asked for this type of fame. It's kind of like now it's being put into the hands of the people who will actually do community gathering and community building and helping other people find their way to themselves. And so these are people who are ahead of their time. And that could also be why it took Doechii 10 years, because she didn't resonate with what power looked like 10 years ago too.
It wasn't the right timeline for her.
It was not the right timeline at that time, because now it's well received and sustainable.
We're not super into celebrity culture in terms of pedestalizing anyone. That's not what we're about here. But what really gave me optimism for the future is seeing the mirror of this all, like you said, to see people like Doechii and Alysa Liu be received by the public, be basically their success manifested by the public and received by the public, I think shows energetically where we can be heading. Exactly. And that is a beautiful place to be heading. We want more of that. And these are people who are enabling more of that because they're being honest about their journeys. We can go mirror their journeys for ourselves so we can be similar lights. This is so different from the Michael Jordan version of success, where you're grinding and you are self-sabotaging in order to achieve success at all costs, even if you're miserable, even if you have to deal with addiction, to deal with the pain of this, right? But that's what we were told success looked like for so long, and it was a mirror of society and how we've been treating ourselves. Yeah. And that's shifting.
Yes. Success is not self-sacrificial. Yes. They don't have to be in the same room.
No.
Things can happen with ease when you are just aligned to your highest being. And that's what this podcast is about, y'all.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was beautifully said. I had like real big emotional flutters. And it was just like, because it does give hope. It really does, like not bypassing the uncertain times that we're in and how crazy the astrology is, but again, we've pointed this out in many episodes before. The more you work on yourself, the more that ripples outward.
Yes.
And that is a proof of concept of look at who like collectively we're starting to pay attention to.
Yes.
And like let that be the energy that you attach those thoughts and intentions onto, because it will continue to expand here. And then we'll be talking about you next.
Yes.
And analyzing your chart.
Yeah.
And speaking of charts, we want to show y'all these placements that both Doechii and Alysa have, because it definitely speaks to what we've been discussing and talking about.
And they're both about to have a really good Jupiter and Leo season. I actually think not only are they great role models for period life, but like how to have success with this Jupiter and Leo season. Be your authentic self and put yourself out there, because
we've pulled up Doechii and Alysa's big 6 placements here on a board, and we're just going to dissect these placements. So we're going to start with Doechii. We see that we have a big old Leo stellium. We have a Leo Sun, a Leo Venus, a Leo Mercury, and a Leo rising. Ooh. That is a whole lot of Leo in a big 4. It literally only leaves room for 2 other signs and modalities. Doechii is also a Taurus moon. That makes her predominantly fixed in her big 6. That's where that strong conviction comes from.
Yeah.
That is where, and then in a sign like Leo, which is part of their path in their journey in life, is self-discovery, is visibility.
Yeah.
Especially with that Leo rising. So the chart ruler ends up being the sun. So we see that the self is a very important part of Doechii's journey here. And so that means the shadow aspect of that is an inflated ego.
Yeah.
And so when you do talk about like what were some of those shadow aspects that Doechii had to get through, it was a massive type of ego. Expectations. What do people expect from me? What is authentic of me? That sister sign being Aquarius. What's also interesting that we find with Doechii's chart is this Cancer Mars here. When we think about what motivates someone, what drives someone, like what gets someone to get something started, Mars being in the sign of Cancer traditionally is in its detriment. But what we do find here is that fixed nature, that endurance that these fixed signs have, that allows this Mars in Cancer to bring out the emotional embodiment of what I think it actually allowed Doechii to be more forthcoming with what matters and what value she had. Like she had so much fire and endurance in the chart that she didn't need extra help from Mars to get there. It was like, if we don't balance this out with some form of emotion.
I might have a hot take on this too. As a fellow Cancer Mars girly who has always been told it's in its detriment, at least Cancer is a cardinal sign. So with all this fixed energy, it's still a cardinal sign. We always kind of debate this whole detriment fall thing, because yes, there are many challenges with the Cancer Mars, but overcoming and self-mastery makes any detriment or fall placement really powerful in its own right. And I'm almost wondering, we talk a lot about water signs and emotional currency not being something that society accepts. I'm wondering if we're also starting to see that turn. People might be more ready for Cancer Mars vibes of like emotional action. Like she's taking action while sharing her emotions along the journey. She's not self-censoring it. She's not trying to not be angry. She's not trying to not be crying, right? She's not saying that, she's not hiding all of that. So I wonder if we see more appreciation for Cancer Mars. I hope. I'm biased, but I'm starting to see a little bit of a change. And this is a hot take. Not a lot of people think that, but seeing that on her chart, she wears it beautifully.
That's a wonderful observation to make. Like the Mars being in a sign that is cardinal, that's still something being started. That's still something being initiated. Either way. I didn't even think about that. That's a good hot take.
Even like you've talked about this and she talked about this. Yet another Tianee and Doechii thing. She talked very much so about anger being an initiator, anger being the thing that drives you. You've talked about that as well. And Cancer Mars is feeling everything, and anger is an emotion. So if she's angry about the lack of progress, she's using that to change and do something new and pivot. So
that's good energy to use then.
Good job.
And what's good is that we do have the ruler of Cancer, the moon, being in an exalted state in Taurus. So there's some harmony and some synergy going on.
Yes.
There could be this relationship between her emotional embodiment and state that does relate to how she's also out and presenting in the world and being motivated as well. So that actually is a very synergetic relationship.
Wow.
As well.
So she's really got a good sun and moon vibe happening. Even though she really is sun, she's ruled by the sun and sun dominant, but there's a nice moon, little surprise moon energy.
Something that would be interesting to look at was Mars's transit through Cancer last year and how that related to whenever it conjuncted Doechii's Mars through Cancer.
That would
you
be
should do that
interesting.
too.
Yeah.
Actually, to see what was going on through that transit and those dates and time. That's actually very interesting to look at.
Oh, that is.
Now, transitioning over into Alyssa's chart here. We were unable to get a rising sign for Alyssa. Her birth time's not verified or anything, but we were still able to get her we'll call it big five here. We still have Leo placements going on here as well. We've got a Leo sun. We also have a Leo Mercury. Pair that also with the amount of Virgo in the chart. We have a Virgo moon, which for the moon is one of those intentional placements. And then we have a Virgo Venus, which is another one. And then a Taurus Mars. A lot of intentional placements that does require balance here. Yeah. And so what's so interesting about Alyssa's Leo placements is that you see the embodiment of a Leo come through a Virgo lens. That's how I would color that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Alyssa also shared like a Virgo rising, because she does appear very like methodical, calm, even though like she does have her own interest in things, but the way that she carries herself, I could definitely see a Virgo rising if that's a thing. Anyways, this Leo sun is where the self-belief comes in here. And also the Leo Mercury. What's so interesting about both of their Leo Mercuries is when Mercury is in Leo, the embodiment of Leo comes through in the speech, in the way that you talk. It's less words, more impact. That's the thing with Mercury here. And so the brain and the mind might be more self-involved, but it's more involved in a way of what are people getting from me, essentially. So this does turn internal speech into outward impact.
Yes.
And that's where you see that these two have had a humongous impact collectively on the things that they've said and also the things that they've embodied. To be so young and to learn the Virgoan lesson of like, it's not just about perfection. It's not just like, I want to be this way, but I want to be this way about something that I love.
Yes.
As a Virgo heavy placement person, you don't learn that until like 2 Saturn returns.
No.
Like until like the end of your life.
She's rare.
And so that is significantly rare.
Yeah.
And then the Taurus Mars, like we've talked about, being in this sign that's slow moving for such a fast planet. And I do think this contributes to the time off.
Yeah.
100%. Because this is like, Mars can only be activated in what it values.
Yes.
In the sign of Taurus.
Makes sense.
And so the fact that Alyssa was embodied enough to know I need to take a break because I'm exhausting my energy instead of having this mutuality with energetic give and take.
Yeah.
That break is so Taurine.
Yes.
And stubbornness.
Yes.
Like, I will not do this if I don't want to.
She says that in an interview. She says, I have my way I want to look. I have my way I want to rest. I'm quite stubborn about it. But she's proud of that stubbornness too. I think when I see this, if I had any of these placements, well, we have Taurus, but this is what self-mastery of these energies looks like. It doesn't mean going away from them completely. It's embodying them in a way that you feel good about.
Yeah. Yeah.
The stubbornness serves her because that's what makes her so authentic. She's like, I'm not going to change my hair for this program.
I'm going to be myself.
Yeah.
So that goes back into the argument about these detriment and falls that we've talked about before. Yes, sure, it's a thing, but it's there for a reason.
Yep.
It's your energetic flavor.
Yes.
Assume the best because then it will show itself in the best light.
Yes.
And it served her life. It served both people's lives.
This is
here.
wild.
Honestly, this is the star of the show.
The Taurus moon.
That Taurus moon. Doechii has a Taurus moon in the 10th house. Having your moon in the 10th house is one of those like fame indicators in a chart, but not just for fame or success or anything like that. Moon in the 10th house means that you have this way of like emulating the repressed emotions of society, of collective consciousness. Because remember, the 10th house is what your public responsibility is, what you're known for. It's what your public image is. And so having a moon in the 10th house means that you are so emotionally connected to your role in understanding other people. Like, you want other people to understand themselves through you mirroring that back to them, essentially. So that is why you do find a lot of fame with a moon, especially in Taurus, in the 10th house.
And verbatim, Doechii has said, I have a belief that I am the mirror to the people, or I am a mirror to the people, maybe not the, but she is a mirror. And she said that she's known this forever.
That's so nuts.
Isn't that wild?
Yes. And so I mean, it could be the Leo placement, but like just knowing, but
these were both meant to be stars with the Leo.
Yeah.
But to really go further, you see this self-mastery over so many different placements. You see that detriments do not get us down. Okay, take notes for any of your detriment sign. It's just more self-mastery, and it is there for a reason. I mean, these are remarkable, remarkable women, and I feel so inspired looking at this.
It is very inspirational. Oh, I just wanted to mention to the audience, I have my moon in the 10th house as well.
So take note. Tianee. I've been saying this the whole time. You guys remind me exactly of each other.
Oh, it kind of makes sense.
Okay, well, Tianee is Doechii. Doechii is just Tianee. You're your own expressions of similar energy that
it's nice to see the similarities.
I think we need in this world, which is very exciting.
Yes.
I think the takeaway for you as an audience is there's an old model where you chase outcomes that may or may not even be something you're interested in, right? We're chasing outcomes. We're performing success, what we think success looks like, what we've been told success looks like at all costs, even if we're grinding ourselves into actual, like, complete physical depletion. And then you get rewarded for that, and we're supposed to be like, yay, it was all worth it, right? The Michael Jordan type of, like, he suffered for that and yay. The new model is to become so fully yourself that your version of success finds you, right?
Yes. And can happen with ease.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you.
Ease. Yeah. Ease and embodiment. I think you go from performing to embodying.
Yeah.
And you go from grinding to a more easeful life. And easeful doesn't necessarily mean you don't put in the work that is. Alysa Liu is working really hard, so is Doechii, but they're doing things that are so exciting for them that it doesn't feel like work the way doing it the way other people would have told them to do would have. So what a beautiful paradigm shift.
Yeah. What would you suggest someone who is embarking on the same creative journey, or even if they're not creating, but like just has that feeling for them? Like, what would you like?
I like you saying, even if you're not creating, because at the end of the day, we are all creators. We are the creators of our own lives. And so we are all living every day is an act of creativity. What are you doing with your one life? So when you think about creation, are you still trying to fit into someone else's template? When you look at your life, are you working in your own template? Or maybe you don't want one at all. Where are you still playing small so that you can be palatable to this world, which isn't going to serve you because this world is changing so fast anyway. So throw the templates away, assess where you're playing small, and go have some Doechii and Alysa Liu energy.
Hey, I love that.
Or Tianee Harris energy.
Or Taylor Starr energy. all the main character energy. How about that? I really, really enjoyed this conversation and love this conversation. If you are interested in more of this topic or anything manifestation or even Age of Aquarius, we have so many resourceful videos on our channel. Make sure you check it out. Please comment down below, answer some of Taylor's questions. What template? Or have you thrown out the template? Make sure that you comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Inner Orbit. This podcast is created and hosted by Tianee Harris and Taylor Starr. Produced and edited by Chloe Goodman, with original music by Joseph Goodman. Be sure to like, subscribe, or follow wherever you're listening so you don't miss an episode. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Inner Orbit Pod, or email innerorbitpod@gmail.com. To book a chart reading with Tianee and Taylor, visit bio.site/innerorbitpod. Thanks for joining us on this episode. We will see you in the next one.